In this lesson, we will be focusing on finding the volumes of pyramids and cones, as well as spheres. You should be well acquainted with these shapes, as I've mentioned them before in lesson 10.6, when we were calculating the surface areas for these items. Okay, again, the volume is just the amount of space that a solid takes up. The formula to calculate the volume for either the pyramid or the cone would just be 1/3 times the base area. So for the pyramid, the base area would just be this side times this side. And they should be the same length, S. Okay, times the height. And for the cone, it would just be volume equals 1/3 times the base area of pi r squared times the height. So I'll do this for the pyramid as well. So 1/3 the base area should be just S squared times height. And again, note the volume of a solid is measured in cubic units. Practice. Finding the volume of a pyramid. The base of a pyramid is a square. So I'm going to draw my square here so I know that all sides are equal for the base. The side length of the square is 24 feet. The height of the pyramid is 9 feet. So I could draw my pyramid. Okay, 9 feet. Find the volume of the pyramid. So volume equals 1/3 24 squared times 9. And after you do the math, you should get 576 times 3, because I can simplify 9 and 3. And we get 1728 feet cubed. Okay, and here we have another square pyramid. Volume equals 1/3, 14 times 14, so 14 squared, times the height of 10. And to show you all the steps, the next step should be 1960 divided by 3. And you can rewrite this as a mixed number, 653 and 1/3 centimeter cubed. Okay, as we're finding the volume of the cone, you can either round your answer using pi equals 3.14 or leave your answers in terms of pi. I will use pi equals 3.14 as well as show you how to leave your final answer in terms of pi. So volume equals, okay, so here we have the diameter, so half of 13.5 should be 6.75. Okay, I just divided this by 2 to get 6.75. So 1/3 times pi r squared, pi 6.75 squared times the height of 10. And to leave your answers in terms of pi, you just take 1/3 times 6.75 squared and multiply that by 10. And you should get about 152 pi millimeter cubed. And if I were to ask you to use pi equals 3.14, you would just take 152 and multiply by 3.14 to get about 477 millimeter cubed. Right, and let's just do one more problem with cones. So one volume equals a third pi times a radius of 3.5 squared, and then multiply that by 9, the height, and you should get 36.75 pi. And if I ask you to round that, you should get about 115 millimeter cubed. Now you should write millimeter cubed here too. Okay, so 115 millimeter cubed is when I use pi equals 3.14 and multiply that to 36.75. Okay, let's take a look at this solid here with a cylinder plus a cone. Okay, so we need to use the formula for finding the volume of the cone as well as the formula for finding the volume of a cylinder. Okay, so here we can do the setup. Volume equals pi r squared h, so this is for the cylinder, plus 1/3 pi r squared h, so this would be for the cone. And here it says leave your answers in terms of pi. So I will not change pi to 3.14. And the radius for the cylinder is 9. So it's half of 18 is 9, so that's the radius. So 9 squared times the height of 29 plus 1/3 pi. Again, the radius is still 9 here, 9 squared. But the height of the cone is 7. And we do the math. You should get 2,349 pi. And you cancel one out. 500. Okay, you should get 189 pi. Okay, and then you add 2,359 plus 189 to get 2,538 pi. And if you really want to use pi equals 3.14, just multiply that by 3.14. And you can round that to 796.9 feet cubed. Okay, for this next solid here, we basically need to find the volume of the entire cube and then subtract the volume of the cone, because there's nothing inside here. Okay, so let me do the setup. Volume equals 14 cubed, because the volume of the cube would just be 14 times 14 times 14, length times width times height. And subtract 1/3 pi, and half of 7 will be 3.5, because 7 is the diameter and we need to know the radius to plug it into the formula. So 3.5 squared times a height of 14, because it's 14. The height is 14 for the cube, so it should be the same for the height of the cylinder according to the picture. Okay, so we do the math. 2,744 minus 1/3 pi And she had 171.5. And if you leave your answer in terms of pi, it's just 2,744 subtract 57 pi. And if you want to keep going, you should get about 2,564 centimeter cube. So we might just ask you to leave your answer at this point because the numbers are too big and ridiculous, even though it's manageable. So here we have a summary of all the formulas for surface areas and volumes of all the solids I taught you. And I would like you to take the time to really think about the differences of all these formulas. Okay, the last formula I would like to talk to you about is the volume of a sphere, which is just equal to volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, sphere, as you can see, is just a roundish 3D object with no edges. It's all curved. And I would like to remind you there are videos about the proof of the sphere on my website. So sphere, the cone, the pyramid, okay, how and where in the world did these formulas come from, okay? Now I'm just going to teach you how to calculate the volume of a sphere now. The diameter of a pearl is 8.3 millimeters. Find the volume of the pearl. Leave your answers in terms of pi. Okay, so if the diameter is 8.3, half of 8.3 will give me the radius. So the radius is 4.15. Yeah. Okay, so we take the volume of the sphere, so 4/3 pi 4.15 cubed. And after you multiply everything together, you should get about 95 pi. And this is your answer in terms of pi. And then you would label this as millimeter cubed. And if I ask you to use 3.14, 95 times 3.14, you would get about 299 millimeter cubed. Okay, and then let's do one more. The radius of a spherical soap bubble is 0.5 inches. Find the volume of the soap bubble. Leave your answers in terms of pi. The volume equals 4/3 pi. The radius 0.5 cubed. Okay, and then after you do the math, you should get 4/3 times 0.5 cubed, pi over 6 inches cubed, or 3.14 divided by 6, 0.52 inches cubed.